All right, we got a real special surprise. You know, sometimes I feel when we talk about Monster and with you know, our own folks, our reps, our dealers, we kind of lose sight of what the Monster brand means and, you know, how people perceive it. So I know a gentleman who's known us for a long time. He's an expert in marketing, he's an expert in branding. And I said, can you come out here and give us a perspective to our people on what does the Monster brand mean to everybody outside the world, to dealers, to consumers. And so this gentleman is president of a firm called Gen 1 Ventures, who specialize in brand building, social media. He was the chief marketing officer for Circuit City when in its prime. Many years as a senior VP of sales and marketing at Samsung. And he's the author of his latest book called Green Rain Leadership. So, help me give it up for Mr. Peter Weedfald.
Guitar Mike. Does anyone remember Richie Havens said that at Woodstock? Who's old enough to remember that? Guitar Mike. Let me tell you, it is such an honor and privilege, and I do believe that to stand here, and I believe any of you could be standing here right now, you have to earn the right. You have to earn the right to stand with Noel Lee, who's been driving from the beginning over 30 years ago from the garage. And he is a CEO of Hard Knocks. He does what you do. You know, we talk about retail as detail. We talk about the tremendous thundering of new products coming out of warehouses on a global scale 24 hours a day. And he lives in the language of rejection. Do any of you live in the language of rejection? It really hurts, you know. They never taught us that in school. I went to kindergarten, I went to high school, I went to college. And they never taught us about how to handle rejection. They never told us what to do with the money we make. They never told us about what a mortgage was, but they certainly never told us about rejection. So I'm honored to be here because I'm a very weathered guy. I've done what you've done. And the blessing from God for me is that I did it both on the retail side and on the manufacturing side. How many of you have actually worked in the womb of a retailer? Okay? It looks like about 1 to 2 to 3%. Okay? For those of you that have worked inside the womb of a retailer and have never, for those of you who have not worked inside the womb, then you haven't had the honor and the dignity of knowledge of what really goes in there. I know you think you know what goes on there, but after 7 years with Samsung and I joined Circuit City, it took me 30 days to get out of shock. I had no idea of the hyper-changing short product life cycles that they lived through. I had no idea every day they were either in the profit recession business or in the profit opportunity business. And I had no idea that every night at 8 o'clock at night, I'd be sitting with all the merchants going department by department by department by department, looking at speeds and feeds of results, the cold steel of the P&L, the 10 digits, what happened with that particular brand and those SKUs today. It worked, it didn't work, it's off. Emails are going out to the vendors, to the manufacturers. It's not working. Either you give us some more co-op or MDF, or you move the needle, or we're going to have to cut forecasts, right? Is that? Imagine them teaching you that in high school. So you could go into this career. You could do all that. So let me kick off by saying bonjour, buenos dias, annyeonghaseyo, and thank you for spending some quality time with me. And I have to tell you that you see a bubble up here, and you're probably wondering, well, that's a cool slide. What's the bubble? Well, it's the changing bubble of opportunity that this company called Monster has gone through in both product designs, brand affinity, and changes in competitive sets 24 hours a day. It's our opportunity to go out there and be market makers together, and it's our opportunity to either jump on fire brands and do something special with them or not. So I want to be clear about why I'm here today. Number one, I'm honored. If you knew me personally, you would know how honored. Steve Winokur knows me, right there. He knows how honored I am, how I love to get my hands dirty with my brothers and sisters, if I can call you that. Can I call you Team Monster? Let's call ourselves Team Monster, right? Don't say you guys, say Team Monster, okay? We're Team Monster, at least for this week. No, Noel will be yelling. What do you mean for this week? For the rest of eternity. Yes, no, okay, for the rest of eternity. But I want to be clear. I have not been paid to be here today. I'm not receiving $1 to be here. I'm here with authentication and brethren for a brand called Monster that I have been following and their product line for 15 to 20 years. And trust me, what you have in this room that no one else has is perspective. You know why you have perspective? And I envy you for your perspective. Because you go to retailer to retailer to retailer to retailer, and you know so much about each of those retailers, what's working, what's not working, who the people are, what the opportunities are, and those of us that have to sit in the cold leather chair in a room looking out a window miss all that opportunity. So, would it be okay if I turn on the intense sobriety and we have some fun today? Right? Because you know, so I'm going to go 30,000, 40,000 feet, because I'm not going to bore you with details. I'm going to take you up here. What Noel said to me was, I heard about this meeting, and I said, wow, an international meeting from all over the world. So I'm really honored to be here, but let's take the flame up. So I can have a little bit of an unbridled thrill, and I can go home tonight and say, we had a great time together. All right, so let's turn up the flames. Number one, Albert Einstein said creativity and imagination is more important than knowledge. If you've never heard that before, stop and think about it. This is Albert Einstein, the father of blank, 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 one of the greatest engineers, physicists in the history of this world. And he said creativity and imagination allows you to escape the predictable. The predictable is your products fail. You go into the largest museum of failed products on the planet. The predictable is the merchant says, howdy doody, I'm not interested, it's not a good enough price. The predictable is you'll launch a brand new product and within 3 months you lose 40 to 50% of the price delta. The predictable is companies come and they go. That's the truth of the matter. So when you think about perspective and you think about utilizing creativity and imagination, what Noel said to me was, I said, can I participate? He said, why don't you take some excerpts from your book, and why don't you talk about brand leadership for Monster? So what I'm about to show you, to be frank with you, Noel may never talk to me again. Why? Where is Noel? He's not even in the room. Oh, sorry, sir. Apologies. He has not seen my presentation. There's only one monster named Greg who saw my presentation. So now I'm triply honored that they allowed me to address such an astute group, and they don't even know what I'm going to present. Isn't this exciting? Now, as I'm presenting this, I want you to think that Noel called you up individually. And he said, John, I want you to come to the international meeting, and I'm not going to give you any slides, I'm not going to give you any information, and what I want you to do is I want you to know our moniker, our mantle, our position about Monster and creativity and imagination is always lead, never fail. Ah, so you know I didn't do it on purpose. So what was it? Thank you. What you just did is you complimented Noel. You said you were listening with squinting ears to what he said. I say it a little bit differently. If you want to be the leader, act like a leader 24 hours a day. If you want to be the leader, act like a leader 24 hours a day. Last data, is he still on slide 1 with this bubble? Enough with the bubble. The fact of the matter is, when you go out and you meet with merchants and you're all by yourself, there's no monster, mom's not there, dad's not there, your boss isn't there, and you walk in, you're either going to act like a leader to become a greater leader, or you're not. And I can tell you, if you're in this room today, you are part of Team Monster, you are a leader, and that guy Noel Lee is trying to do everything he can to join with you and give you more power around creativity, imagination, fashion, and inspiration. And that's pretty cool. Yesterday I got to spend the entire day with Team Monster. I have about 60 business cards. I was like in a whirling dervish. everything was spinning so fast, it was incredible. And so I listened to them yesterday, I'm here today, and Noel told me to come do this last week. Am I the luckiest guy in the world? Say yes. Yes, Mr. Lee. Okay, so let's get started. First thing I want to show you is my job was to talk about brand leadership for Monster the way I saw it. So I did what's proverbially known in the brand leadership area is I checked the brand promise. Does the brand match the promise of the speeds and feeds of the offering to the consumer? Because when you think about brands, there's the pillar and there's the anthem. The pillar is the product, and the product must be the hero. If the product's not the hero, the brand is going to suffer. Pretty simple, right? So if you think of any company from Apple to Nike, etc., it is the product that drives the heroship and the inspiration of the brand. It's not the brand that drives the hero, because if you have a dud product, you got a major problem. So I wanted to kick off, and I created a video, and I wanted to show you what I see and what I saw over the last week that got me inspired about Monster. And then I want to show you a few other things. Would that work for everybody? We're having a good time, right? You got to do something different up here, because otherwise, I mean, you're going to get tired pretty quickly. So I'm going to try to tune it up, bring it up, and let's rock and roll. Retail is detailed, be inspirational. Creativity and imagination is very important. Always lead, never follow. If you want to be the leader, act like the leader. You tell me if this video I created is not about leadership and creativity. Let's hit it. Oh no, you don't have to hit it. I'm supposed to hit it. There we go. What do you think? All right, finally we're going to get it out. Here in this hermetically sealed room, a sterile cockpit. You ready? You ready? How many of you are musicians? Raise your hand. How many love music and sound? Raise your hand. How many like video and love video? Raise your hand. Will you stop at the raising of the hands? Okay. Thank you for raising your hands. The fact of the matter is that what I wanted to talk about today was actually 7 sectors. I wanted to talk about brand leadership in the language of Blue Ocean. How many of you read the book Blue Ocean? Okay, I'll talk about that. I wanted to talk about the journey that Monster's taking and how it's not a solitary art form. And without you, and without the channels, without the editorial community, without the consumers, there's no place to go. We want to talk about gathering the imagination. And we're going to talk about Hollywood and music and video and content, and what Monster has done to play a major role in that space. We want to talk about turning up the flames. How do they compete? How do you juxtapose the power of the Monster brand? And how does that actually fit into line assortments, line logic, consumer mindsets, and the way the world looks at this brand? Of course, we want to talk about the accolades. I needed to go out and do a checkup from the neck up and find out what is the world saying about this brand called Monster. And then finally, we want to look at the numbers, because the fact claim is, hi, we have a great brand with great products. The reality, which we all live in, which is the cold steel, the P&L, is show me the money. Show me the results. Is it working, and is it working globally? If it's not, then please, don't be pounding your chest up here. You have to earn the right to pound the chest, especially with an international group of people who are representing this mighty brand. And then finally, we'll do a short recap. So let's get started. There are two strategies that you can go with. You know, when I take over a man or a woman's business, and I'm honored to do it, first thing I ask is, do you want to drive profit, do you want to drive revenue, or do you want to drive market share? All right, how many want to guess that the answer is somebody stops, they double clutch, they look at me, they cock their head, 50% will say, that's an interesting question, and 99.99%, you know the answer, all three. We want you to drive revenue, profit, and market share. And I got to tell you, as a startup company, which Monster was years ago, it's really hard to drive all three, right? You can come out with a product that's a niggling, purse-proud, cheese-pairing, bag-of-Latel form factor. It's not a hero. And you can actually go out there to a merchant, and you can line logic that product in pretty well. Great, you'll be my private label. You'll be my traffic driver. I expect this much volume from you. That's the standard red ocean style of engagements. And in red ocean, you know, you compete with conventional wisdom. Your goal is to beat the competition any way you possibly can. You want to exploit the demand that's out there. The blue ocean, and I am the one that's characterizing Monster as blue ocean, is a much bigger game. It's at 40,000 feet. It takes a strategy. You have to be durable as steel. And you have to do something that a brand must have 24 hours a day on a global basis. Building great brands, a brand must be shined every day like a metal, not M-E-T-A-L, M-E-T-T-L-E. So I believe when you think about Monster and you look at the substrate, the kernel is incredible technologies and products that have been juxtaposed against what's out there today, that has been mollified against market opportunity. You saw a $2 billion market for headphones, and you heard CEA and Gary Shapiro, our buddy from president of CEA, will talk shortly. But the fact of the matter is it's a huge opportunity. And you saw the numbers and results that took place. So in blue ocean strategy, you also have to excite, you have to inspire, and you have to engage consumers, the editorial community, the channel, and everything else. So the substrate's great products. The second piece of it is packaging. Because at the last 3 feet of the sale, and I've gone through this in my lifetime, I remember being in China, in Beijing, about 7 months ago, and I was trying to describe, because there was a language barrier. So I basically said, look, this is your product, and this is Toshiba's product. And you're sitting at the last 3 feet of the sale worldwide. Do you know what your product's doing? No, what's it doing? It's sitting there. It's sitting there? Yeah, it's crying. It's going, where? My people who built me hate me. Look at how ugly my packaging is. Look how much it's the same. Look at my form factor. And people are coming up going, hi, honey, and grabbing Toshiba. So it's not good enough to build best-of-breed products. It's not good enough to build great packaging. Then you have to envelope it dramatically to build what we call is articulation of demand. Articulation of demand is how consumers divide themselves. Consumers do not divide themselves first by a technology, unless you're in the top 3, right, technologists. They do it by choice. And it's choice, not chance. So what has to happen at the last 3 feet of the sale is the same thing that has to happen emotionally in the emotional capital. And I believe from studying all of Monster, they've got it down perfectly. And when I start, yesterday I was privy to a lot of what's going on in the future for the company, and I'm trembling with validation of how strong the future of the Monster brand is. And I'm also so energized that you're all here so you can feel and taste it. Take a look at the New World Order. The New World Order is the same as the Old World Order. I'm going to profess, I'm going to pretend, I'm going to be tenable about this. There's only 3 businesses left on this planet. No, I know there's the food business, there's the car business. I'm talking about in the CE, PC world that we live in, there's only 3 businesses left, right? How does it sound? Well, there's a pipe. Asynchronous digital satellites, there's cable, whatever it might be, Verizon, call it what you want. There's the pipe business. The second business, of course, is the content. Gazillions of places to pull down music and video and content. And then the last place is the piece of glass. So what you want to do is figure out how to monetize and how to build profit pools around the first inch of a piece of glass that is completely matured with content, music, video, gaming, etc., etc., etc. And that's what I see Monster has done. Monster has come in and enveloped its products, its technology, its imagination, its concepts, and everything I see Monster doing is taking advantage of the pipe, taking advantage of the content, and taking advantage of the glass. Now I want you to think, if I was sitting here building a new company with you and we were doing it together, and I said, I got a little story for you. How about we spend, starting 20 years ago, we teach everyone what the internet is, we tell them to build all these websites, then we teach them how to build tablets and cell phones and TVs and video pieces of glass and gaming, and then we connect it all together. Well, why would we want to do that for 20 years? Because then we're going to go out and take advantage of all that infrastructure. Because we don't have to pay for the content, we don't have to pay for the pipe, we don't have to pay for the glass. But we will bring the best, most advanced, most powerful experiences because it all matters. That's a pretty cool model, right? If you can do it. But as I said, you gotta shine that metal every single day as part of the brand promise and bringing out best of breed products around that trilogy. Anyone from Russia? The Troika? Somebody from Russia go, oh yeah, Troika. Right, Troika? 3. And the trilogy. And that's what Monster, I believe, does. So when you look at Monster and you think about, well, it's because the music matters. That's one of the taglines of the company. But it's really because the lifetime value of a consumer matters. As salespeople, we don't want to go in and sell a merchant and get them all whipped up in a white-hot frenzy and put the fire in the belly about the power of the Monster brand and not have that brand perform. Correct? How many of you like to go back in and have to worry about vendor compliance because the product didn't ship or didn't sell or didn't pull off the shelf? Or how about cutting a forecast? I bet you a lot of you have never experienced that with Monster. And so that's really the power of the sell-through and the power of the brand eggulation. So that's what I think of, and I also think that because the channel partners care. We talked about perspective before. I've been privy to work with literally 40 or 50 of the top PC, CE companies in the world, and I've never met an organization like Monster. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this in terms of brand leadership, driving the brand, 360 degrees, three-legged stool, the power of the technology, the power of the packaging, and the power of driving the brand? I haven't. The only one I can think of really is Apple. So I have what's called brand envy and brand infatuation for this company, and I haven't been paid and they haven't even seen these slides. That's pretty cool, right? I must feel pretty good about that. So when you think of Monster, and this is, now I'll put on my, I am the master of the obvious. I am the master of the obvious. You start with Noel Lee, and for those that have passion and fire and are authentic about what they want to do and believe in the music and believe in the content and believe in the video, he attracts people like a magnet. I've met all of these incredible people inside the building, and they're working 16, 18-hour days like you and your companies are to try to administer against the breath of all this. But the fact claim is, all right, we're working hard. The fact claim is we're building cosmetics and designs that are sexy, fashionable, turn people on, and help to drive pull. We're creating great packaging at Monster, and we've got this massive buzz. But really, the real checkup from the neck up is, do we believe that those people who have the will, the need, and the means, those people who are the top of their game in the music industry, the top of their game in Hollywood, the top of the game in sports, do they also look at Monster and say, I want to have affinity to the Monster brand and your products? And so I'd like to show you a short video that kind of blew me away, showing the excitement of how the music industry has not only built brand infatuation for Monster, but it actually wants to participate. I don't know how many of you have had an opportunity to work with music artists, but they don't talk about your products. They won't talk about your brand. It's as if they were destroying themselves. I talked to John Bon Jovi. I said, John, are you out of your mind? I'm not promoting a product. I'm not standing next to a product. So this is something that you really normally don't see. I bet you can't name 10 other companies that have the amount of music, Hollywood, and sports stars that want to have affinity with Monster. Here's just one clip I pulled together.
It's a story of a unique collaboration that's never been done ever in the history of consumer electronics.
I found out about what Dr. Dre and Jimmy were doing together with Beats by Dre, and they asked me if I wanted to work with them on a new kind of Beats headphone that would be somewhere in between a small earbud and the larger studio size. So I designed with Monster what we now know as Heartbeats.
We went back and forth for 2 years trying to get the sound right because, you know, I mean, that is the most important part to me, how my music sounds, you know what I mean? For people not to be able to hear it the way it's supposed to is just it's a serious problem.
The whole concept was to get sound to have the impact that it has in a recording studio where musicians hear music. If sound is fashion, then those two words go together, and the first thing that comes to your mind is Lady Gaga.
What do you think? I think that's pretty cool. I mean, wouldn't you like to get into a room with Lady Ivan? How many of you know who Jimmy Ivan is? Yeah, he's the man. I've met with him several times, and he is the king, queen, and ability of being the coolest dude on the planet. And you know, if he blinks and says, "Let's go get something done," he gets it done. Let's talk about brand creativity. Now, many of you think that's a shot of our head monster, right? Because we're all monsters here. And you know, actually, Noel did an interview a while back, and thanks to Greg, who reminded me of this story. And in that interview, they said, the editor said, "Well, what are you going to do when everything goes wireless?" And without even skipping a beat, strategically at 40 or 50,000 feet, he said, "No, no, 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 you don't understand. It's not about wired. It's about listening to the music and experiencing music in a way that was meant to be heard, as it was on video, as it was in all types of content." So the fact of the matter is that here you are, and I said to myself, as part of brand leadership, I should try to think of what it's like to go inside the mind of a head monster. And in point of fact, all the engineers inside of Monster, do you want to travel with me and see what it looks like inside the mind? No? No? Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah. Don't get scared now. Everyone's strapped in? Boy, I'll tell you, Noel's going to grab me later. Who the hell do you think you are talking about me that way? Sorry, sir. Here we go. You ready? Yeah. All right, let's roll.
It's been a long time. How have you been? Monster.
You know, you like that? Pretty cool. You know, part of brand leadership is being able to recongress and reconstitute the ability to bring new products, new technologies, and enter new markets, right? And in point of fact, it's a shame that in all colleges and universities, in fact, all high schools, there isn't a 6-month course first on the Apple Computer Company. Aren't we all used to they're going to come out with some new flamethrower and we're just like going, oh boy, here it comes again. Imagine the day they can't do that. What will happen to the brand value of that company? And also a 6-month course on Monster. And I don't mean just Monster product development. I mean Monster product development, supply chain management, tooling these products, cosmetics, designs, juxtaposing research around it, and bringing out 4,000 products in 80 countries at speeds and feeds that are boundary blurring for a lot of competitors. So thinking about all that, it was important to think about and study their products. And I had this old theory, and the old theory is a new theory. And the old and new theory says this: we gather everybody in a room, and we do blah, 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 about how great these products are, how great the technology is, how fashionable they are, and they're hidden under a cloth. They're hidden under a cloth. And the product manager comes out in front of all of you and says, okay, you're all fired up now, here it comes. And they lift up the beautiful blanket, and you're going, oh, that's really nice. That is a prelude to failure. That's how you build the largest museum of failed products on the planet. I know this team, when they look at the markets they're making, the products they're bringing to market, these are what you call wow products. Wow cosmetics, wow design, and that builds the brand. Be clear, the product builds the brand. The brand does not build the product. And when you look at the power of that wow cool design and the power of what everything Monster's doing, what it does is it builds massive drafts. I mean, you're talking to a guy that has worked with everybody in the, not everyone, enormous amount of companies. I've worked with Nike. You know what Nike said to me when I was running Samsung and I wanted to do a bimodal deal with them? They spit and they said, what? Do you know how much the Nike brand is worth? Do you know how much money we spent to build the brand and put the Nike swoop on all the stars? Go away, fly. When I went to McDonald's and I said to McDonald's, can we do a deal? They said, no problem, yeah, it's interesting, but we're locked up for 5 years. McDonald's, true story, call them up. 5 years. You want to do a promotion with McDonald's? 5 years. So to have companies like Diesel, which is a hell of a great brand, to have Nokia, which is a global brand, to have all of these different companies want to not only do a promotion, but put skin in the game with products and technologies, that's a lot of brand power. So that's how I'm meriting this company in terms of brand leadership. And also the last 3 feet of the set. This is where the rubber hits the road. If you can't develop pull based on the power of these products and packaging, you're dead in the water. So I believe that high marks are given to the Monster brand leadership in all those areas. And oh, by the way, others have been energized along the way and built other companies around the mantle or moniker known as Monster, and it gets even better or more interesting, you know? Monster's ascension has caused the descension of other brands and other products. Noel showed you his chart earlier. That's our business, 24 hours a day. Our goal is to drive more market share for you and for us. Our goal is to be able to drive new opportunities and new products at the speeds that the supply chain management allows us to do. Increases in productivity deliver increases in profitability. So the turns are very, very important. Walmart, to be clear, is not a retailer. They are the world's largest supply chain management company. They ship almost 2 million SKUs a week, and they make their pennies on the speed of their supply chain. So you have to get into that rhythm. And on top of all that rhythm, Monster's being treated the way a brand like, name a brand, name a big brand, Coach. Coach is duplicated all the time. So part of the win here is the ascension of the brand, the ascension of the products have caused others to say, why don't we just make a copy of it, not have to pay all that money, and let's go. So this is a big problem for Monster. I discovered